Okay, real talk. Most mornings don't start with soft sunlight and birds chirping. They start with something else entirely. Maybe the dog barks once, and your brain instantly goes, "Oh no, did he have another accident on the rug? Am I cleaning that up before coffee?" Maybe a kid cries out from the next room, and your stomach drops before you're even fully awake. What now? What's wrong? Is someone hurt? Or the alarm blares, or worse, doesn't, and you lunge for the phone thinking, "I overslept. I'm already late. Everything's behind before I even get out of bed." And then there's the mornings where nothing loud happens at all. You're still under the blanket, warm, cozy, safe. And the only thing that moves is this little voice in your head going, "I really don't want to get up. The room's cold. The tile floor is going to feel like ice. Can I just stay here until the sun actually warms up the house?" I had one of those mornings today. The dog barked. I thought, accident. And my first thought wasn't, "God's got this." It was, "I just washed those sheets." Real spiritual, right? That's not lazy. That's human. And right there, in that first groggy, reluctant, half-awake second, fear is already trying to narrate your day. Not big, dramatic fear, not a crisis, just the everyday kind. The kind that sneaks in before you've even opened your eyes all the way. Checking your bank app, then closing it fast because you don't really want to know. Refreshing the location dot on your teenager's phone just to make sure they're where they said they'd be. Walking past the front door at night and checking the lock. Again. Getting an email from HR with no subject line and your whole body goes cold before you even open it. And your body's in on it too. That's the part nobody tells you. That tightness in your chest before your feet even touch the floor. That little clench in your jaw when the dog barks. That's not weak faith. That's your nervous system doing its job. Scanning for danger the same way ancient watchmen scanned the walls of a city at dawn. But here's what's underneath all of it. Under the dog barking. Under the alarm. Under the blanket you don't want to leave. There's this quiet question your body is asking before your brain can even name it. Am I actually safe today? Are my people safe? Is my future safe? You don't wake up thinking in Bible verses. You wake up in a body that's already scanning for what could go wrong. And that's why I love Psalm 91. Not as a pretty verse on a Pinterest board, but as something written for mornings exactly like this one. For people who feel exposed before they've even made it to the coffee. It's a whole community of people. Real, scared, human people. Whispering to each other, "He really does cover us, right?" And then halfway through, it's like God can't stay quiet anymore. The voice changes. He cuts in. And he starts talking over our fear. Today, we're not just going to read Psalm 91. We're going to move into it. We're going to let God answer that question our body's been asking since we opened our eyes. Am I actually covered? But listen, you don't have to let fear set the tone today. There are 3 things hidden in this psalm that almost nobody talks about. 3 secrets. Not because God buried them, because most people read too fast to notice. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. They change everything about how you wake up in the morning. I want to show them to you. Just you, right now. Come sit with me. Welcome to morning prayer. Drop your shoulders. Yeah, they're up. They always are. Just let them fall. One breath. Not a get through the day breath. a real one. Good. God, we're still half asleep, still groggy, still worried about the dog and the kid and the alarm and the email and the lock on the front door. But we're here, and you're here. That's enough for now. Here's your first relief. Before we go anywhere, Psalm 91, verse 1. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. You don't have to stay exposed today. Just hold that for a second. You don't have to stay exposed. And here's the one sentence I want you to carry. Just one. Say it with me if you can. Fear doesn't get the first word today. God's covering does. I've been sitting with this psalm for a while now, but this week I saw something I'd never noticed before. 3 things, actually. And they changed how I understand protection, not as a church word, but as something that actually works on a morning like this. Okay, let me show you. Okay, lean in. Here's the first thing almost nobody notices about this psalm. Here's the first secret. Most people read Psalm 91 and hear, God will protect you. And they treat it like an umbrella. Pull it out when the storm hits. Fold it up when things calm down. They visit God's protection like a weekend trip. But here's what almost nobody catches. That word in verse 1, dwells. It doesn't mean visits. Doesn't mean stops by on Sundays. Doesn't mean opens the app when things get scary. The Hebrew word is seter, and it means a hidden place, a concealed refuge. Not just a hidden room, a whole new address. You've moved from exposed and scanning to covered and held. And fear? Fear is still delivering mail to the old place. It doesn't have your new zip code. And here's where it gets wild. Archaeologists found copies of this psalm at Qumran, in the Dead Sea caves. Ancient Jews didn't just read Psalm 91, they carried it on their bodies. Like a soldier's prayer sewn into a jacket, an amulet pressed against their skin during plagues and wars and real physical danger. But, and this is the part most people miss, the power was never in the reciting. It was in the relocating. The ones who just quoted it were visitors. The ones who moved in, they were the ones who were covered. It's like this. Imagine your GPS has been set to anxious commute every single morning, fears route, worries highway. And every day you drive it and wonder why you arrive already drained. Psalm 91 is God saying, I changed your destination. You don't have to take that route anymore. I have a strong tower. That's Proverbs chapter 18, verse 10. And the righteous run to it, and they are safe. Not a tower you build, not a tower you earn, a tower you run to, a new address. And once you're in, fear loses your location. And here's the second one. This is the part that honestly changed everything for me when I first saw it. Scholars believe Moses wrote Psalm 91, not David, Moses. And that matters a lot. Because Moses didn't write this from a palace. He didn't write it from a quiet room with a cup of tea and a journal. He wrote it from a wilderness, real danger, real enemies, actual plagues, not metaphors, not figures of speech, actual plagues that killed people. The kind where the arrows weren't metal, they were diseases. And the terrors weren't soldiers, they were the kind of fear that won't let you sleep. And in Exodus chapter 33, verses 21 and 22, there's this moment that takes your breath away. God tells Moses, I'm going to pass by you, but I'm going to put you in the cleft of the rock and cover you with my hand. God didn't just promise to protect Moses. He physically hid him, tucked him into the rock, put his own hand over him so the danger would pass right by and never touch him. That's Psalm 91 before Psalm 91 was written. That's the blueprint, the wilderness original. And 3,000 years later, here you are, not in a wilderness with scorpions and armies, in your own wilderness, the one with the bank app you're afraid to open, the email from HR sitting in your inbox like a grenade with no pin, the imaging center waiting room where you're pretending to read the poster on the wall because you don't know what else to look at, the week where you keep your phone on loud at night, just in case. And the same God, the same one who put his hand over Moses in that rock, is saying the same thing to you this morning. Come here. Let me hide you. Actually, hold on. Before I show you the third one, let's just stop here and talk to God about that for a second. Just for a second. Because I don't want to teach past that. God, we heard that. You hid Moses in the rock and covered him with your own hand. And right now, in our own little wilderness, we're asking you to do the same thing for us. Not because we've earned it, because that's who you are. You're the God who hides people in safe places. So hide us today. The ones who are scared, the ones who are bracing, the ones sitting in a waiting room right now, the ones checking the lock one more time, the ones who haven't told anyone what they're afraid of. Put your hand over us, God, like you did for Moses. We're in the rock. We're not moving. Thank you for that. But wait, the third secret is the one that changes everything, and most people read right past it. For 13 verses, 13, the psalmist talks about God. He will cover you with his feathers. He will command his angels concerning you. 1,000 may fall at your side. Beautiful, powerful stuff. But notice, it's all third person. It's about God, like a report, like a community of scared people whispering to each other. He really does cover us, right? He's really going to show up, right? 13 verses of people trying to believe it. Then you hit verse 14, and everything stops. Because suddenly, it's not the psalmist talking anymore. It's not the community whispering anymore. It's God, speaking directly, in his own voice, first person, breaking right into the middle of this poem like he couldn't stand being talked about one more second. Like he heard his kids whispering, "Is he really there?" And he just couldn't take it anymore. Because he loves me, I will rescue him. I will protect him because he acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer him. Did you catch what just happened? For 13 verses, fear was the loudest voice. The arrows, the pestilence, the terror by night. The people whispering, hoping, trying to believe. And then God, who'd been quiet this whole time, interrupts. He doesn't wait for the end of the psalm. He doesn't wait for the prayer to be perfect. He doesn't wait for your faith to be strong enough. He breaks in and says, "Because you love me, I've got you." That gets me every time. Every single time. I needed to hear it this morning too, honestly. Because here's what that means. Protection isn't earned by being brave enough. It's not unlocked by having enough faith. It's not reserved for people who never check the lock twice. It's triggered by love. That's it. You love him. Shaky faith, messy morning, fear already talking, bank app still closed, and he covers you. He interrupts the noise and says, "You're mine. I've got you." That's the deal. And most people read right past it. Now, one more thing, and this ties all three secrets together. Psalm 91, verse 5. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness. Here's what those ancient words sound like in your actual life. The arrow that flies by day? That's the threat you can see coming. The text from the doctor's office with "results" in the subject line. The email from your boss. The bill that's due Friday and you already know the math doesn't work. The pestilence that stalks in darkness? That's the one you can't see. The grief that ambushes you in the cereal aisle on a Tuesday. The anxiety that waits until 2 a.m. when the house is quiet. The thought you didn't invite that just shows up and won't leave. The thing you keep refreshing your kid's location for, even though you know it won't make you feel better. And this psalm, written by a man in a real wilderness, during real plagues, facing real enemies, says, "It won't come near you." Not because the danger isn't real, but because your address changed. You relocated. You're not in the exposed camp anymore. You're in the secret place. And fear doesn't have that zip code. So here's the pattern I want to name. See if it sounds familiar. Fear speaks first, every morning. Before you choose it, before you invite it, before you even realize it's happening, fear has already narrated your day, already told you what's going to go wrong, already made you brace for something that hasn't even happened yet. And we've been letting it. Not because we're weak, because nobody showed us the three things hidden in this psalm that change everything. But now you've seen them. Relocation, not visitation. The wilderness blueprint, and God's interruption. You're not a visitor anymore. You live here now. Here's the sentence. Whisper it with me. Fear spoke first, but God speaks last. And His word over me is covered. And I want to give you something small to take with you today. A physical thing. Anytime fear speaks, in the car, in the meeting, in the waiting room, at 2 a.m., press your thumb to your finger. Just press them together and whisper, "Relocated. I'm under His covering." Think of it as your pocket prayer, your portable secret place. Those ancient Jews carried this psalm against their skin. You're going to carry it in your hand. Same God, same covering. 3,000 years and it hasn't worn thin. This prayer is support, not a replacement for wise professional help when you need it. But right now, right here, let's bring all three of these secrets straight to the Father. Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we're here, not polished, not ready, not brave, just here. Still in our pajamas, some of us, still half asleep, still carrying the thing that woke us up before the alarm did. But we're here, and you're here. And right now, that's the only math that matters. God, we just learned something about this psalm that we can't shake. That the whole point isn't asking you to come protect us. It's accepting your invitation to come live where you already are. So we're moving in, right now. Not visiting, not stopping by, moving in. You said in Psalm 91 verse 1, "Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty." We're dwelling, God, not because we figured out some formula, because you opened the door and said, "Come." So we're coming. You said you'd cover us with your feathers, God, that under your wings we'd find refuge. So right now, we're climbing under. Cover the one who's checking the lock on the front door tonight, again, because something in their gut won't settle. Cover the one sitting in the imaging center, the one pretending to read the poster on the wall, the one whose hands are cold and whose chest is tight, and who hasn't told a single person why they're there. Cover the parent who keeps refreshing that little location dot on their kid's phone, not because they don't trust their kid, because fear won't let them breathe until they see it move. Cover the one staring at an email they can't bring themselves to open, because the subject line, or the lack of one, has already told their body everything it needs to panic. Cover the one who closed the bank app, who already knows the number isn't enough, who's doing math in their head in the early morning hours, and the numbers keep coming up short. God, you see every one of those moments. You see the lock. You see the app. You see the waiting room. You see the math that doesn't work. And you said, it won't come near you. We don't fully understand how, but we choose to believe it. Thank you, God. Thank you that while fear was already narrating our morning, you were already covering us. Before we opened our eyes, before we checked the phone, before the dog barked or the alarm went off or the dread settled in, you were already there. Father, we have a question for you. What are you shielding us from right now that we don't even know about? Because this psalm says 1,000 may fall at our side, 10,000 at our right hand, but it won't come near us. That means there are things, real things, dangerous things, that you've been quietly blocking. Arrows you've been catching before they reached us. Pestilence you've been steering around us in the dark, and we never even knew. Thank you for the threats we never saw because you handled them before we woke up. Thank you for the car that didn't hit us, the diagnosis that didn't come, the relationship that didn't destroy us, the thought that almost won but didn't, the night that could have been worse but wasn't. We didn't even know to be grateful, but you knew, and you covered us anyway. God, would you show us today, even just a glimpse, of how closely you've been guarding us? Not to prove yourself, you don't need to prove anything, but because we need to see it. Because fear has been talking so loud, and we need to see your fingerprints on this day, even just once. Lord, we read that at verse 14, you interrupted. You broke into the middle of this psalm because you couldn't stay quiet anymore. So interrupt us today. When fear speaks in the car, interrupt it. When anxiety starts building in the meeting, interrupt it. When the thought comes back at 2 a.m., the one we didn't invite, the one that won't leave, interrupt it, God. Cut in. Talk over it. Be louder. You said, because he loves me, I will rescue him. And we do love you, God, even when our faith feels thin, even when the fear is louder than the worship, even when we're not sure we believe the words coming out of our mouths. We love you. It's shaky and messy and small some days, but it's real. And you said that's enough to make you move. So move, God. Move in the waiting room. Move in the inbox. Move in the bank account. Move in the marriage that's gone quiet. Move in the house that feels heavy. Move in the body that's tired of being afraid. God, fear spoke first this morning, but you speak last. And your word over us is covered. We receive that, not because we earned it, not because our faith is strong enough, because you said, because he loves me, and we do. So we receive the covering. Thank you that your covering doesn't have a time limit. Thank you that it doesn't expire at noon when the stress picks up, that it doesn't wear thin by Thursday, that it doesn't run out when our faith wobbles. 3,000 years, same God, same covering, still holding. And now, God, we stop talking, we stop asking, we just stay here, under the shadow, under the wings, in the rock where you hid Moses, in the secret place that fear can't find. Just breathe. He's covering you right now. Under his wings, you are safe. Fear doesn't live here. You're home. Lord, what does it look like from where you're standing right now? Because from where we're sitting, it looks like a lot. It feels like a lot. But you see something different, don't you? You see the covering we can't see. You see the angels we don't know about. You see the ending we haven't reached yet. So we trust your view over our feelings, just for today. That's all we can do, and we're choosing it. Walk with us today, Father. When we're in the car and the dread starts building, remind us where we live now. When we're in the meeting and our chest tightens, remind us. When we pick up the phone and see the notification that makes our stomach drop, remind us. When we're checking the lock again, when we're refreshing the location, when we're doing the math one more time, remind us. We live in the secret place. We rest in the shadow. Fear doesn't have the zip code. And the God who hid Moses in the rock is hiding us right now. We love you, God. Not perfectly, not consistently, not with the kind of faith that doesn't flinch, but we love you. And you said that's enough. So today we walk out of here covered, not because we're strong, because you are. In Jesus' name, Amen. Before you go, open your hands. If you can, open your arms, just for a second, like wings, like you're standing under his wings right now. And say this with me, one last time. Today, I am not exposed. I am not unguarded. I live in the secret place of the Most High. Fear spoke first, but God speaks last. And his word over me is covered. Remember your pocket prayer, thumb to finger, relocated. Carry it with you today. If you're choosing to live relocated today, even if it feels shaky, even if you're not sure how, would you drop a shield emoji in the comments? Or just type, I'm covered. It's a small way to say yes to what we just prayed. And when you do, you're telling someone else scrolling through that they're not the only one who needed this today. And if that fear does come back this afternoon, if the scan starts running again and your chest tightens and the thoughts get loud, I made something for that. It's called The Invisible Army That Guards You. The link is right below this video. It'll meet you right where you are. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow.